is up here at the front. First, what I mentioned is that you need to practice the layout for your composition, and it needs to include the guidelines that we talked about at the beginning of class. So you're going to get a piece of paper like this. Some of you may have already gotten it. It's a small little just piece of sketch paper. And you're going to draw your layout that you might consider using on one side, and you're also going to draw a second different layout on the other side so that we can decide which of those layouts works best, which one is most successful. So both of these follow the guidelines. It has a full figure and two partials, and they're going off the edges of the paper. Full figure, two partials going off the edges of the paper. You can do yours in pencil. The only reason this one's in marker is because I wanted you to be able to see it on the screen. You can't really see pencil lines very well. They just not bold enough to project well. So that's the only reason mine's in marker. I would definitely encourage you to do yours in pencil. I know that that's kind of confusing to see it that way, but so just this is an example of what that'd look like. You're not doing any values. You don't need to be shading for this practice or for this plan. You just need to be planning where they'd go, how big they need to be, if they overlap each other, how are you balancing the space, all that stuff. And it is required that you come up with two different ones. One of them will be more successful than the other, and you'll choose whichever one you think is best, and I can give you some input if you want me to, but you'll choose whichever one is best and then move on to transfer that to your final paper. So that's the next step. After that, you're going to get a piece of black paper. Now, this paper is smaller than what your paper will look like. This is just small for demonstration purposes so that it fits well in the area that you guys can view, and also so that I'm not wasting paper because I had to have 4 different ones, so I didn't want to waste too much of this paper. So the next step would be after you've done your layouts here and you've picked which one was most successful, you're going to outline it in pencil on the black paper. And you can see that the pencil shows up pretty well on the black paper. You can even really see it, even though it just got blurry. You can see it on the screen pretty well. There we go. These are proportional. It follows the guidelines. It's got the full figure, the two partials, etc. I referenced images from this handout, which I have available if you need them. Let's see if I can find the right one. So this is my full figure here. It's hard to see. The handout doesn't look that bright when you're actually looking at it. It just looks that way on the projector. But that's what I was referencing here to draw these. And then I use separate ones for these. So the next step is to figure out your color scheme. Does anybody remember the number of colors we're going to be using? 3. So you're going to basically be assigning a color to each section of value. So you'll have one color that represents your brightest or lightest values, one color that represents your mediums, and one that represents your darks and your shadows. Now, you can blend those colors together to kind of get some in-between values, but you're picking just 3 to represent those. And what I want you to do to figure out what's going to look good together and what's going to look good on your paper is you'll flip it over and you'll practice them on the back side of the black paper. I have done a whole nother composition on the back side of this paper that I already started as the demonstration yesterday. So I'm going to use a little strip of paper, but I want you to just flip yours over and use the back side so you can test out the colors and see what you like, okay? So these are the colors that you will have to choose from with the addition, oh, here's some more. I knew there were more. These are the colors you'll have to choose from. So what you want to do is kind of look at the colors overall and figure out, okay, which ones of these colors stand out as being really bright, which ones are more medium, and which ones are more dull or dark. And you'll kind of use that as a range to assign them to those light, medium, and dark values. That's kind of how you'll pick your 3. So if you're looking at these, what would be an example of one that could represent my lightest values? Yellow. Yellow would work really well. Yep. What would be an example of one that could represent my medium values? Orange or green, either one of those works. Let's do orange. All right. Whoever said that had the final word. Was it CJ? Good decision-making skills. All right. So if those are my 2, my light and my medium, what could I use to represent my darkest values from these colored pencils? Purple would be really nice. This dark pink might work too. Let's try them both out and see which one we like better. And you have that ability too. You don't have to just pick 3 and be done. You can, if you try them on your paper and you're like, oh, that doesn't look as good as I thought it would, I'm going to try something else. Go back, try something else. Another one that I would encourage you to consider using is white. White just looks really beautiful on this black paper. You don't have to use it, but don't rule it out. It looks really good. So I'm going to set these to the side, and I'm basically going to use this little strip of paper, which represents for you the back of your paper. You'll be doing this on the back. Do just a little value scale to see what these are going to look like together and blending them together. So I'm using the yellow to represent my lightest, and I'm going to bear down pretty hard to show how I could make it look very bright, and then I'm going to loosen up a little bit so that I can overlap it with my medium, which was the orange. So I'm going to bear down hard here with the orange next to the yellow, and then I'm going to start to overlap it with the yellow to sort of blend them together and see how I could make a transition for light medium values. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to lighten it on this side so that I can blend it with my darkest and see what that looks like. Let's try the purple first. Purple comes off really dark on this paper, but it's nice. So I'm bearing down hard and then loosening up to blend it with the orange. Now normally, purple and orange don't blend very well together, but on the black paper, it's a little bit more forgiving, and it helps it look a little bit better. So that's what a value scale would look like. That would be my range of values on the figure for those three colors. Now let's see what it would look like the other way around, with the pink as the darkest value. So again, I'm bearing down hard to show the brightest, and then loosening up so I can blend it with the orange. Bearing down hard, blending with the yellow. See that transition, and then I'm going to loosen up to blend it with the pink. Can you guys see how it's really dense there and then lighter there? Okay, that's how you're going to overlap and blend them. So then I'm going to bear down with the pink and see what that looks like with the orange. What do you guys think? Which one is more successful? This one or this one? Purple or pink? You guys like the purple better? Okay, then that's what we'll do. I think either of them work, honestly, but I think that if you like the purple, I like the purple too. So you'll be referencing your reference image. Again, unfortunately, this reference doesn't come across great on the projector. It looks super bright, like you can't see any of the medium values really. But what you'll be doing is applying what you see, and basically it's like a color by number. You're saying, okay, I see a really, really light value, and I'm going to use my yellow to fill in that part of the figure where I see that it's really light. Then it becomes medium here. I'm going to fill it in with the medium value, and then the only dark parts are a little bit under here, so I'm going to add that in there. So you're just basically copying what you see and doing it as the colors. Now, there are transition areas in between, and I do encourage you to show smooth transitions. I would say that one of the common mistakes for this project is not transitioning the values. People apply them more like stripes or blocked off sections instead of blending them in with each other to show that it's a smooth transition from one value to the other. Now, of course, there are times when the values do change abruptly. Like maybe it's from a different body part, you know, it goes from one body part to a separate one that's a separate piece. Then the value might change abruptly. But more often than not, when it's on one body part, the values transition and blend into each other smoothly. So that's what we want to try to achieve. So again, unfortunately, I'm really sorry that you can't totally see the medium values in this reference, but here we have a bright white value. So I'm going to use my yellow to fill in this area, just start to fill it in. I'm going to leave myself a little leeway, but I'm going to start to fill it in with the yellow. And I'm noticing where the value goes. It doesn't go perfectly along the edge of this shape. And again, I know you can't see, but it curves in here. So I'm curving it in there as I'm applying it with the colored pencil, bearing down pretty hard with the yellow up here because that's the brightest part. And then I'm loosening it up and bearing down a little bit lighter the closer I get to the medium valued areas. All right, now I'm going to go in with my medium. This has a large area, which you can kind of see in the reference image where those really dark values are under here. Everything else is pretty much medium. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling in my medium area where I think it belongs. And notice the craftsmanship of the colored pencil. I am making sure my pencil is sharp while I'm using it so that I get a good application and that the wood part of the pencil isn't scratching my paper. And I'm going in smooth lines, overlapping themselves so that the pencil looks neat. Going up here under the shoulder. I'm probably going to blend in a little bit of the purple with the orange up there because it does get dark back there behind the shoulders, but it's definitely not pure purple either. It's good. It's a good medium dark, not fully dark. Same thing underneath right here. I'll probably blend in a little bit of purple there as well. Now I think I need more transition. This yellow still stands out a little bit too much to me. It needs some more transition to the orange. So I'm going to go back over the orange some more to lighten it up and make a smoother transition. Again, we're avoiding stripes. We don't want it to look like blocked off shapes or stripes if it's not. And now I'm going to go in with the purple and start filling in my darker valued areas under the armpit because there's a shadow there, around the bottom of the top part of the chest. I'm going to softly start blending it in a little bit subtly with the orange. This is kind of a fun, like Halloween-y looking color scheme you guys chose. And then it's dark underneath the torso here. And again, I said I'd like to blend in some of the purple because it does get a little bit dark medium around this edge. I've never used these colors together and I'm loving it. I don't think I would have used it if you guys hadn't suggested them. I like it a lot. It almost looks like, have you guys ever seen a, like if you're looking through a, Thermal. Yes, thermal was the word I'm looking for. I was going to say like you're looking through like a scope of something and like it can see the heat, which is a thermal thing. So that is kind of what it looks like. I think that's really neat. It was a really cool choice. So again, I'm blending it in where I see like medium darks. I'm blending the purple and the orange together. Up here on the top of the shoulders. And I'm just trying, I'm constantly referencing my photo to make sure that I'm putting all this stuff in the right area. I'm gonna go back with the orange and just help out this transition some more and bear down a little bit more where it's more solid medium to get a good consistent color. Does that make sense? Does it help to see it like that? Okay, so again, you're just choosing 3 colors, assigning it to light, medium, and dark, and then applying them and blending them where necessary based on your reference photo. So if there are no questions about that, any questions? You guys are so quiet today. Okay, so then I'm going to recap. Number 1, after you've taken your reference photos and finished your handouts, you need to plan out 2 compositions. Yes, 2. Even if you like your first one, I want you to push yourself to come up with 1 more that fits the guidelines. Then you're going to choose the most successful one and in pencil outline it on your final draft paper. Next, you need to choose your colors. So you'll use the back side of your final draft paper to kind of do some value scales and see which colors you like together. Don't be afraid to do several. Change up the colors completely. Do something totally different if you want to. You'll notice that I've put colored pencil sharpeners in little containers on your tables. That's so that you can, I'm gonna give everybody a little stack, like a little bundle of every colored pencil, and I want you to hold on to that for the class period, then bundle all those pencils back together and give them back to me before you leave. But you can use those pencil sharpeners to sharpen them. I don't want you using the electric sharpener for colored pencils. It messes it up. The texture, the consistency of the lead in a colored pencil is different than a regular pencil, and it clogs up the sharpener. So we're not going to use those for the colored pencils. Any questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and get our stuff out and get to work.